Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm delighted to be joined by Lawrence Conley all the way from the Skylark, where we will be discussing Atalanta nil, Celtic nil, and Lawrence, we were just saying there, what a performance.
Mate, that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Away to Italy. No one's expecting anything from us. Tell you what, mate, we can compete in the Champions League away from home.
I think tonight is showing, Lawrence. I mean, you look at the three games we have had in the Champions League. The first one, superb result. We win a meaningful Champions League game for the first time in ages. The last two games, we've played against European finalists from last season. Dortmund Champions League finalists, they give us a C and over. And then tonight, Atalanta, who won a European trophy last season, and we go over to Italy and we get a draw. Italy's never been a happy hunting ground in terms of European football.
Only Lenny's won there.
Lazio.
Yeah, only Lenny's got one. They even dropped out there when they're only Lenny.
Unbelievable. And
mate, tell you what, top scorer in Serie A, it's subbed. Not getting any joy out of Trusty or Scales.
No.
Subbed.
And I think what you've seen,
performance.
It was tremendous defensively, Lawrence. It was disciplined. We used the word at half-time, mature, and they've seen it all the way through the second half.
There was only one point I thought the loss of discipline about the 90-minute mark. Get a wee bit scrappy and we pushed up. And remember, and Scales gives away, I wasn't sure it was a foul, gives away a foul 5-7 yards outside the box. The only time he lost a wee bit of
that was it. That was it.
I think the players thought,
and you're tired.
There's a chance here. There's a chance we could. This is our last chance if we get it. But you know what? Big Ida wasn't his night, but didn't run his heart out. Nothing to do with attitude or application, mate. He absolutely ran his heart out for us.
He did. There was a moment.
Even so, Luke, how am I closing a guy down in the 90th?
No, you've taken that too far. You've taken that too far.
That? Have I been eating some kind of strange mushrooms? Luke, closing a guy down.
At one point, he's in the left back position, Adam Ida. And eventually, once we turn that defensive movement into an attack, Ida's then the guy chasing the ball up top. Nothing came off for him, right? People will look at the performance and say he was this, he was that. What he did is he ran himself into the ground until such times as Rodgers thought it was appropriate to bring on Hugo.
Listen, talk about Rodgers, the sticky team from the media. The thing about, after Dortmund, I'm not going to change anything. What did they expect him to say? Listen, here's my game plan for the next time in Europe.
Just
in case the opposition manager's watching, this is what I'm going to do. Tweet just that wee bit, midfielder just a wee bit closer to the defence, wee bit more defensive minded.
And the fullbacks playing traditional fullbacks. They defended all night.
Not wholesale changes, mate. And we were competitive. Yes. Look at that. Kyogo, the snapshot.
I know.
Or that first time, he left City doesn't work. But you know what? Atalanta were worried at the end. They knew they'd put everything into that. And you know what? You weren't good enough to breach the much maligned Trusty and Scales partnership.
Well, the thing with the defence is if everybody's fit, two of the guys tonight don't start. Right, but what you've seen, I'm going to start off with the central defensive area because massive kudos to both of them. I mean, Trusty will get all the plaudits because a lot of what he did was at the forefront and he defended brilliantly. Scales, maybe a couple of mistakes over the entirety of the 90 minutes, but as a partnership tonight, they were solid, Lawrence.
But Scales knew when to give away the fouls, mate, didn't he? He's learning. He's shown a bit of game management. Get the foul away a wee bit further up the pitch. Wasn't getting dragged about as much. Accomplished performance for him, mate. And Trusty, towering, mate. How many headers does that boy win?
Unbelievable. I'd love to see the stats. I'd love to see the stats. I know. I mean, you're talking double figures, winning headers in the box, when if you don't win it, we're under severe pressure.
Wait a minute, you're up against the top scorer in Serie A. And he gets subbed. He's not found not good enough tonight.
But see, when they're subbing their star men, Lawrence, what you're seeing there on the sidelines is a very calm Brendan Rodgers. And you're looking at the Atalanta staff, not just the manager, and they're losing they're losing their rag, they're losing their cool. And I think a lot of the balls that were coming in from their wide areas were frustrated. They were frustrated by that, and they're just swinging it in, and they were more hopeful than, you know, creating a chance. And when you've got two players in Scales and Trusty playing like they did tonight, and by the way, not to take away from the fullbacks, I thought Johnson.
No. Baye, solid. Johnson, solid. But I think you're going to have a different take on it from what the media in Scotland will have tomorrow. We'll probably read a bit of garbage about Road of Luck.
You probably will.
See us get cut open.
No.
Never saw us get cut open once.
No.
You know, this was an assured away European performance, not in the second tier of European competition, in the top tier, mate. You know, in the top tier, like, with Serie A's top scorer having to get subbed off. You know, Brendan and the boys delivered tonight. They showed we can compete. You know, the board back Brendan, and I think Brendan's delivered tonight. Undoubtedly, mate. You know, a point in Italy.
Oh, it's a
tremendous. Many managers get a result in Italy.
It's a tremendous feat. I'm just looking at the table at the moment because, again, I'll go back to the point we made at the very top of this post-match reaction show, and that is that if you were to look at all three of the first games in our fixture list, you're looking at the first match and thinking, yeah, we can get a result against Bratislava, but I don't think we expected to do it with such style, Lawrence. I mean, we absolutely trounced them. You're going to Dortmund and thinking, you know, we'll probably get beaten that game. But I
thought 3-0 was, mate.
The disappointment. But hey, Lawrence, all joking aside, you were confident tonight.
Yes,
you were confident tonight.
Listen, as much as you hear Brendan publicly saying, I'm not going to change things, only in a day when I change things, mate. We know Brendan's. He knows he's an elite manager. He's changed it. He's brought the midfielder a wee bit closer to the defence, mate. No, that's not our first 11 out there. You know, he's brought that. As you've touched on, the full-backs weren't overlapping as much. They certainly weren't drifting into midfield as often as they would. Changed it a wee bit. Not wholesale. Still playing football. Still, when we got the ball, trying to retain it. So still true to his style, but he showed that he's been able to adapt the game plan and the team to deliver a huge result for us, mate. You look at it before Champions League kicks off, we'll take 3 from the first 9. I got 4, mate.
Absolutely delighted. And as I say, in the last 2 games, because Bratislava, I'm not going to say there's any game that you would expect to win, but you're looking at it as a potential game that you can get 3 points, and we did it with style. Then we play 2 European finalists from last season, Borussia Dortmund, of course, in the Champions League, and they absolutely give us a schooling in European football. And then tonight, you know, they won a European trophy last season, Lawrence, against a team who were absolutely flying, the Invincibles of Bayer Leverkusen. And Atalanta beat them, and on the road to winning that trophy, they beat Liverpool, they beat Marseille. This is a team that could have turned us over if we had put in the same type of performance we did in Dortmund.
Without doubt, but you know, I've said it before, this isn't an occasion where we've rode a luck. We weren't open. You know, you can't look and go, oh, I should have scored that. Celtic really lucky there. It was an assured, mature European performance. It shows we're in this competition to compete, mate. You know, without
when Brendan came in and he was actually asked the question by Acsom at his first press conference, and it was James McKenzie that asked him the question about European progression. What does it look like? What do we hope to achieve? And Brendan Rodgers spoke about European progression, and we posted that up on the pages recently. And that is exactly what he wants to do. Yes, you know, domestic domination is something that we have done over a period of a generation, Lawrence, and we know that it's the bread and butter. And if you win a treble, tremendous. If you win 4 on a bounce, it's unbelievable to think that we did that. However, what you want to also do is you want to start building in Europe. And a lot of the positive feel-good factor that was built up from the first game was wiped away in Dortmund. And I think tonight, it is a reminder, Lawrence, that we are aiming towards that. You look at some of the big players for us tonight, right? And by the way, in terms of performance, if I was to ask in the comments, Phil, give me a mark out of 10 for Ida, I'm going to say a lot of 5s probably. But mate, he was an important player. Mate,
I don't buy those 5s. things he tried didn't work. But the game plan was for him to run, to work the centre halves.
He was isolated.
To apply himself.
Yeah,
he was isolated. Mate, I'd be giving him a 7 or 8. He's applied himself to the maximum. He's isolated. He's worked the centre halves. Yeah, the things he tried didn't come off. But physically in application, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why Kyogo got a couple of wee sniffs. Because those centre halves must have been tired with Big Ida. Listen, he's a formidable guy to be up against Ida, isn't he? Huge. He's got the physicality Brendan talks about.
He can grind them down.
Mm-hmm. But still, see, he's a 7 or 8. He absolutely ran his heart out. Lone guy up there at the time. Did he give up? Did he put his head down? No. Done his job, mate. As everybody did there in the park. I mean, Louis Palmer closing a guy down the 90th minute.
By the way,
what's happened to him?
I'm still thinking you're taking that too far. That didn't happen, right? But Louis Palmer, what he did do is he found Kyogo with a tremendous through ball. And that is the kind of thing that he was doing this time last year, Lawrence. And that's why he's such a frustrating player, because he has it in his locker. We've not seen enough of that this season, have we?
Look, listen, the first 2 or 3 months of his Celtic career looked as if he was going to be absolutely outstanding. We've not seen it, but I suppose competitions get harder for him.
Yeah.
Mader's raised his game. Kuhn, night and day from last season.
What a defensive performance by Kuhn, I felt. There was a few breakaways, Lawrence, right? And when he could get at the left back, he did. But I just felt the work rate down that right-hand side between him and Alistair Johnston was exceptional.
Mate, it's something that he's not often asked to do, especially in Scotland. But we saw he's got that string to his bow, didn't we? But honestly, phenomenal performance. Before, I spoke about being in the hospital this morning, guys saying hiding behind the couch. Jeez, wasn't it? Not after that. No Celtic
fan. Sit on that couch with your feet up, mate. Get the pipe out.
The thing is, it's not parking a bus.
No.
As some teams in Europe just be hard to beat. We carry the threat. We play the football. But mature, mate, composed, competitive. And that's what we're asking for in Europe. Be competitive.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to bring in some of the comments because we can all enjoy the aftermath, the glow of a European result. And tonight it is a result. Getting a point in Italy against a team of this calibre is a fantastic result. You look at the Champions League group table at the moment, it would be unfair for us to compare ourselves to sides who have only played 2 games like Bayern Munich and Barcelona, who are below us. But other sides who have also played 3 games, who sit underneath Celtic at the moment, are Girona, AC Milan, Club Brugge, PSV, Bologna, Shakhtar Donetsk, Sturm Graz and Red Star Belgrade, as well as Slovan Bratislava, who we met on match day 1. So Celtic at the moment are sitting in 18th position, just below PSG. And we're in that middle kind of section of the group, Lawrence, between 9 and 24, that will win you a playoff place. And that is basically the target, isn't it?
But we've had 2 away games.
Tough. It's 2 tough away games.
Yeah, and tonight, mate, absolute bonus point. Bonus point. You look at the draw, you're going, yeah, we'll get 3 from the first 9. Got 4. It's better than expected. And those players will grow from that. They'll know keeper shape. Bit more discipline.
Yeah.
We can do this. You've touched on European finalists. Mate, trusting Scales must be looking at each other. That's the top scorer in Serie A. Where was he?
Yep. That must galvanise the entire side. But as you say, though, a partnership there that hasn't played that often together, Lawrence, right? And it already has come under a bit of flack and criticism. Going out there tonight, this result cannot be underplayed. This is a sensational result tonight. There's going to be teams all over Europe looking at this result, particularly after the Dortmund humbling. And, they'll look at Celtic and think, wait a minute, maybe that was an anomaly in Germany. This is a team to be reckoned with. I hope that's the case. Now, I'm going to bring up some of these comments.
Donny in the comments has already kind of called it. We need to say this as a moral victory tonight.
A moral victory. Do you not have to draw 3 each before you can claim that? Joe Brown, 1888, I brought you up because, yes, it was a massive performance, but also you're standing next to a world-class fullback in Danny McGrain in your avatar. Captain Papa Stephen, good friend of Lawrence Conley's, by the way. Has he been in the bar yet? Has he been in the Skylark, Danny? Daniel Fergus McGrain.
Danny's no, I've not caught up with Danny in a wee while, actually. But yeah, I need to catch up with him. Hopefully soon, maybe Lorraine will drop him off one day.
For a catch-up. What a laugh. Captain Papa Stephen, so happy with that. Hail, hail, great result, says, sorry, Lawrence, you're going to have to read that name.
Derry Toother.
There you go. I'll take that.
Well, I think it's obviously Derry people, I think because Toother Dadanan was the people of the goddess Dana, wasn't it? So I think it just means Derry people. Not 100% sure, mate, but there you go.
Good effort. One piece, they said on Virgin Media that they had at least 48 crosses. Now, if they had 48 crosses, and we've no reason to believe that's not the case, then it even highlights our defensive performance more. I mean, to be able to defend that, particularly the amount of headers, as we said before, I think we estimated double figures on Trusty. It's probably more than that. 48 crosses, we dealt with that. And when Schmeichel was called into action, Lawrence, a player who was criticised heavily after the Dortmund game by many, was also outstanding tonight. One moment, he kicked the ball at the park. One mistake.
I would say Schmeichel's saves were good saves. They weren't great. There wasn't ones that you thought, they're scoring here. You know, the standard of the performance, absolutely huge, mate. 48 crosses. They're giving them another 48 more. I don't think it'd come to anything tonight. You know, Trusty and Scales were that good. I mean, I was reading some of the Celtic sites, get Rocky in instead of Trusty. You know, it's crazy stuff, but maybe just show you how little confidence some people had in Trusty after that performance. You know,
it's going to change.
You'll take huge amount of heart from that. Listen, especially as I know Cameron was close to the Aberdeen game and didn't quite make it, but didn't travel. So it looks like we might need a wee bit more from Trusty. Tell you what, if Scales can shut out the best scorer in Serie A, how much is there to worry about?
Well, you go into the game against Motherwell, as I say, galvanised by such a great performance tonight. Ian Roy, come on, Celtic. And we've also got quite a few comments coming in on the old X platform. Lawrence, big Trusty defended like me at St. Bride's.
Listen, Mark Brady was quite a good goal scorer at St. Bride's.
Was that a dodgy elbow that kept him from making the grade? Dodgy big toe.
I'm not sure about that. What stopped him, but yeah, quite a good bit ahead. Used to score quite a few from the crosses.
There you go. Toxteth O'Grady, one of the best team efforts of recent times. Great position. Now, it is a great position to be in. And let's just remind ourselves, actually, of the fixtures and how that's going to play out. So, as Lawrence was saying before, we've got the first 3 fixtures out the way. 1 win, 1 defeat and a draw. And next up will be at the beginning of November, where we go back to Celtic Park to play Leipzig. A lot of people think that's going to be a game that we'll be lucky to take anything from, but it is Celtic Park, and I think we'll be strengthened and full of confidence after tonight's performance. I'm really looking forward to hearing Brendan Rodgers, because he was, I think, quite bold over the last couple of weeks after the Dortmund game, Lawrence. As soon as he gets a bad result, it's as if the press are writing him and the team off.
Well, mate, he was pilloried, wasn't he?
He was.
The Scottish press, couldn't hide their glee. They could not hide their glee. You know, it's like when Rangers get the almost obligatory 90-minute penalty if we get a bad result in Europe. The Scottish press have got such joy. But listen, masterclass from Brendan this evening. Did you ever feel we were going to lose that game, mate?
I didn't, actually. And, you know, it got to that point, Lawrence, like I was saying, you looked at their substitutions where they're taking off star men, danger men. You're looking at the sidelines, you're thinking they're rattled, the manager. And then you look at Brendan, cool as a cucumber, right? And we're making, I thought at the time, we made the right substitutions as well. Every single time the ball went in, you were confident because of the type of game that the centre-halves were having. You were confident that we could defend it. When they were taking us or trying to do so down the wings, I thought Johnston was solid tonight. Cramped up near the end. Absolutely solid. Listen, Baye's got a lot to learn. He's progressing. He's developing as a player. But I think the signs are good so far, Lawrence. He's probably, had the biggest shock of his life since he came to Celtic. And he starts off at Falkirk against a right winger who was signed by Celtic Hearts. He plays tonight, and he plays dead well tonight. Really good performance this evening against a side who won a European trophy last season. So when you consider his baptism of fire since he came to Celtic, I think he's come on leaps and bounds in a very short space of time.
Oh, without doubt, you know, the only thing is we don't have the option to buy. I know he's got a cheap buyout clause, but I thought it was great tonight. Touched on it, end of the first half, that wee nudge he done the Atalanta player, you know, just enough to put him off and Celtic get the throw. He makes us look more solid. We're bigger as a defensive unit. You know, I don't think he put a foot wrong. A couple of times he was up against two players. He jockeys them well. He waits until we're back in position. Right, now's my time to step to them. Mate, to a man, they've worked Brendan's plan. You know what I mean? They've followed the orders. We've worked as a team. We've been competitive. And you've touched on it, you know, teams in Europe would be expecting us to get absolutely hammered tonight. You know what? Never felt we were going to lose. Thought we might nick something, especially when Kyogo come on. You know, Era's giving their centre halves a physical workout in terms of having to keep up with the amount of running he was doing. Another night, that maybe goes in his snapshot or his first time effort, maybe loops in. But you've got to be over the moon with a point, mate. Point in Italy on the road. But you know, you're reading the Scottish press and apparently going there to get hammered. You know, there'll be a few disappointed journalists and reporters ripping it up that Brendan Rodgers' commentary about how he can do it in Scotland but not in Europe.
I'll tell you something, Lawrence, right? If Brendan Rodgers is able to get this Celtic side into a playoff, if we get 10 games in Europe this season, then what he's done in Europe on a minuscule budget compared to many of the other teams that we're facing has been a sensational result and a sensational response to the criticism that you're talking about. And we see it all too often. I'm going to bring in as many comments as I can in the next 9 minutes or so. And we're getting a lot of people coming in asking the big question, Lawrence Conley. Is the bar open? James Kennedy wants to know.
Be open soon. I've got Estrella Galicia on draft just now. Found out Bushmills do Bushmills Green, so bought a bottle of that as well as got Johnny Walker Green label. So yeah, at least one of the bottles we can crack. Yeah, I'll have a couple of pints after this, mate. Mate, this is absolutely outstanding performance.
Brilliant. Absolutely tremendous, Lawrence.
We've talked about what's the plan. When are we going to see progress in Europe? Can't deny this is progress, mate.
No, you can't deny it. And if we were to run through the team, because there are a few people here asking who was man of the match, Reezy comes in, who was man of the match. I think the obvious choice would be Trusty. A lot of
Trust your skills, mate. Trust your skills.
Scales was a great wingman for him. But, you know, you've got to give credit. The fullbacks I thought were excellent, particularly Alistair Johnston. You move into the midfield, a lot of what they were doing would be the kind of hod carriers. You know, it wasn't sexy football. It was all about covering the grass. I think Rio Atati was the man. If there was going to be a pass that was going to cut through the defence, he was going to make it. Ran himself into the ground. And then, you know, people might look at Engels as a performance. I'm looking at him and Valle, and I know that their transfers were completely different in terms of their scale. But I'm looking at those two guys and thinking, Lawrence, these boys are learning. These boys are learning their trade at this level.
Totally. You know, Brendan's about developing players. What about McCowan, mate? Comes on, doesn't look out of place. You know.
No, he made one pass that went out the park. One pass. But other than that, again, always available, Lawrence. Demanding the ball. Never hides.
It's an absolute huge result for us. Absolutely huge. You know, it's an expanded Champions League. We've got to take care of things at home. Red Bull's probably our hardest home game. We know that, you know, against Leipzig. But, mate, this is massive. This point could be the difference between the playoffs and not.
Well, it's the unexpected point, isn't it? I mean, before we've gone into the Champions League, and we've brought up the graphic many, many times in the last few weeks, that was not a game that I've seen anybody saying, oh, by the way, I think we'll get something off Atalanta. I never saw anybody saying that. Yeah, there was a wee bit of an air of confidence about some fans today. You felt confident at half-time. But it certainly wasn't prior to a ball being kicked in the Champions League, a fixture that you looked at and thought, even a point? Absolutely not. So it's almost like, as you said earlier, a bonus point. Cell 88, Trusty showed why we paid or spent £6 million tonight. Yes, he absolutely did. Brendan Monaghan, we were Aberdeen tonight. Listen, Brendan, if we can go away from home and play like that again against some of the opposition that we're still to face, I would be happy that we might get another point. Trusty, my man of the match, says Turnkey29. You and Boy Martin, thanks for supporting the channel. Trusty, man of the match. And we've also got Brian. No need to rush Carter Vickers back. If Trusty and Skills can play to that level that they did tonight, would you reward McCowan with a start against Motherwell? Is it time for him to start a game, Lawrence?
Listen, I thought he might have started against Aberdeen. There's going to be some tired legs in that midfield come Motherwell. You know, it might just be for that you maybe start Callum, Bernardo and McCowan just to have a bit of freshness, because every man ran their heart out. You know, it's got to have taken out of the legs. But tell you what, I have no qualms about starting McCowan. I just don't think he's looked out of place in the company he's keeping in that Celtic midfield. You wouldn't point to him and say he's nowhere near it. As you said, he's available for the ball. He makes things happen. Yeah. He's got assists and goals.
Bit of aggression about him.
You know, what you want for him? You know what I mean? He's a Celtic fan. It's always good to see a Celtic fan do well.
It's always good to see a Celtic fan doing well in all walks of life, Lawrence. And if they're wearing a green and white hoop jersey, even better. Jonathan Brown just shows you when you get a good test domestically, it helps going into the Champions League. And obviously, we are getting a good test from the second best team in Scotland when Aberdeen come calling, Lawrence. Stephen Gallagher, absolutely over the moon tonight. By the way, can I just ask you, Lawrence, did you write Alan Morrison's script during the week? Was that you?
I think it's a bit cleaner.
than the script you would have written.
Oh, that's all Alan's work. But listen, it's the truth. What are we going to hear about? Mate, I honestly think we'll hear the road of luck. I think that'll be the underlying Scottish media's.
I thought it was. I thought it was a tactical masterclass.
Exactly, mate. You know, you saw the midfield sitting a bit deeper, soaking up the pressure, try to hit them on the break. Disciplined, held the positions, didn't change it. The fact we weren't punting the ball, mate. You know, some teams that play without a style, they say, they punt the ball and hope something will happen. That wasn't us tonight, mate. You know, it was what you'd want an assured European away performance against the European finalists from last year. Great performance, mate. Especially off the back of what happened against Oban. Especially off the back of that, mate. Because and the team themselves, their heads must have been down on that. You know, losing that amount of goals away from home.
You've got to ask the question. And you know, the discussion earlier on today with Big Yogi and Paddy was the fact that, you know, you can have what we probably call a European hangover, but it is a mentality thing. If you go and get whipped 7-1, you then look at the following two games, Ross County, where they take the lead, and we need to fight back to win the game 2-1. And then Aberdeen, where we're kind of coasting at 2-0 at half-time. They fight back and almost nick a win. I mean, you know, they scored 3 goals. Thankfully, the third one was a handball. But then tonight, I think you wash all of that away. So whatever was rattling about in terms of any self-doubt or negativity, Lawrence, a response like tonight, a performance like tonight, puts you right back on an even keel.
Yeah, that's huge for the team in terms of belief, what they can do in Europe. It's a much better team than we're ever going to face in Scotland, probably ever have faced in Scotland. We faced tonight. So those players have got to look at it and go, look, we can play, we can compete. You know, we bit of luck. Kyogo might have nicked something. You know, it's huge for us as a club, mate. I've touched on it before. I think it's expanded this season, but the Champions League is only going to get bigger. And we need to be able to compete. You know, our next stage is be competitive. After that, you can maybe look at a lot of stages, maybe even dare to dream of winning something, mate. But first of all, you've got to compete. And there's no doubt we were competitive tonight, mate.
We were. And what all you're hoping for in a night like tonight, Lawrence, is a moment where you get an opportunity. And when you looked at what Hatate tried to do with that speculative effort that he had. You know, he might have pulled that off. He's probably the only guy in the park who could pull that off.
What about Vi? It's effort.
I know.
You know, you're like, where'd that come from? Not seen that yet. Hopefully we've seen a bit more. The last full-back striker one like that, remember the hoops, was KT.
Oh, are we allowed to talk about him yet? James Cormack, enjoy the night, everyone. Thanks for getting involved, James. It's great to see your comments on the Celtic state of mind. Off to watch our next opponents. Hopefully the team is as well. And Brown Warrior, can't wait to watch the highlights later. Totally missed the game. Never realised it was an early kickoff. Well, hopefully we can give you a wee rundown, Brown Warrior, of the type of performance you're looking forward to. Yes, Atalanta dominated possession. And yes, we were, I wouldn't even say under the cosh, but we were defending for a hell of a lot of it. But as Lawrence has said, we defended fairly comfortably. It wasn't last gasp stuff. You know, we won our balls where we had to win them. Johnston and Valle were very strong defensively, and they played like traditional fullbacks defending. And I think that on a different night, as Lawrence says, maybe something would have come off for the likes of Kyogo. 2,500 plus watching the live stream tonight. I've got to thank every single one of you. I love looking at a Celtic game after a performance like this evening and talking to someone like Lawrence, good friend of mine, about Celtic. It puts a smile on all our faces and we can go away happy. I'm happy because tomorrow we're going to be speaking to Mick Lynch. And, you know, I was telling...
Mick will need to sign me. You know I've got the Mick Lynch T-shirt. So
I know you do.
That. But listen, back to Celtic. Sorry, just before we go, because first 3 games, we would have said 3 points.
Yeah.
Everybody would be happy with that.
Yeah.
We've got 4. This is huge for us.
Massive.
You know, this is progress in Europe. This has been competitive. This wasn't a dead rubber tie away in Italy. You know, they must have been kicked. Tell you what, Atalanta would have looked at this and went, "Yeah, that's 3 points for us."
Oh, they'll be angry. I mean, as I say, I thought that the manager cut a frustrated figure on the sidelines. We need to come away from this with a galvanisation of the result to counter the kind of destructive elements of the Dortmund result. I'm really keen to watch the post-match interview with Brendan.
Oh, mate, be huge. I tell you what, Mick Lynch would have been proud of that kind of teamwork. Every man working for the other man, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. And hopefully I'll get a wee comment from him tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for getting involved. If you want to get in on the Acsom Live thing, there is some tickets available for Johnny Collins, a class act. If you buy a ticket, you automatically get a ticket for a raffle, and you could win a signed 1994 Adidas Predator football boot. Whether or not you want to wear it or put it in a box.
Mikey Galloway was raging, wasn't he?
Mikey Galloway?
Remember at Ibrox, he's lining up the free kick and Collins just decides to stick in the top corner.
I know who I wanted to take that free kick. Thank you, every single one of you, for getting involved, and thanks for supporting the Celtic State of Mind. Give us a big thumbs up, and if you aren't doing so already, get the channel subscribed to, and we'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.